warning. Due to adult language and humor, the following content may not be suitable for any viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed during the following live stream or video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others. Thank you. Good evening and welcome, one and all, to tonight's edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. I am your host, Mike. Tonight, I am flying solo as Baron, Norman Tag, and the long-suffering Mrs. Tag are out, meaning they're out together, spending some quality time together, husband and wife time together, and Cash Money is out with a cold. So I will be doing this whole edition solo. I don't know if I'm going to go for an hour or maybe an hour and a half, but I do have some articles. And just to address Sunday's show, Barrett had asked me ahead of time if he could go on the show, even though I wasn't going to be there. And I said, go right ahead. But, I was thinking about playing it off, saying, yeah, the channel was taken over, and yeah, Baron and the rest of the mutineers, yeah, they threw me into a dinghy and sent me on my way. And I was going to play this video, but I thought, yeah, I can't really play that off too well.
Extinction to all traitors!
But I hope Cash does start to feel better, and I hope Barrett and the long-suffering Mrs. Tag have a good evening together. And let's go ahead and get underway here with some of the stories that I do have lined up for this evening's broadcast. First and foremost, I have a story from comicbook.com that says Ripley's is attempting to buy the real Cocaine Bear. Another article from comicbook.com says Rings of Power, Amazon Studios head, reacts to new Lord of the Rings movies. So we'll get into that. There's also an article provided to me by Cash from IGN that says Tom Cruise was crying over Val Kilmer reunion in Top Gun Maverick. I got emotional. And the other two stories I have for tonight are from Bounty of the Comics. These were provided by Cash as well. And it says Pedro Pascal, who believes men can become women, says he's creeped out when fans ask him to do the Mandalorian voice for children. And the other article I have is also related to Pedro Pascal, as he is in The Last of Us, and The Last of Us director admits to tricking audiences to push gay storylines and propaganda. We'll read that, and then I'll give my thoughts, and I look forward to seeing what your thoughts are in the chat. But first, let's go ahead and start off with this first story I have here for this evening's edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. And it's not being simulcast tonight, as I did not ask Barrett ahead of time if I had permission to stream on his channel. So that's my bad. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cough so early in the broadcast, and I wish I could have caught it in time and muted myself. But I do apologize about that. But I have posted the link in the chat for anybody who wishes to follow along with this or any other articles we're reading for tonight. And this article from IGN, which says Tom Cruise was crying over Val Kilmer reunion in Top Gun Maverick. I got emotional. Maverick and I spent scene together, brought Cruise to tears. And it was posted on February 27th on IGN. It says Top Gun Maverick is filled with high flying action scenes, but star Tom Cruise recently reflected on one of the movie's more poignant moments. Appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Cruise touched on the scene that sees Maverick reunite with Val Kilmer's Iceman, saying, filming the reunion brought him to tears. And it has a quote here where Cruz is saying, I just want to say that was pretty emotional, Cruz said. I've known Val for decades, and for him to come back and play that character, he's such a powerful actor that he instantly became that character again. I mean, you're looking at Iceman. I was crying. I got emotional. He's such a brilliant actor, and I love his work. The article continues to say Cruise and Kilmer appeared together in 1986 Top Gun as Maverick and Iceman. Kilmer's return to reprise his role in Top Gun Maverick was the actor's highest profile appearance since he was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2015, making the reunion very emotional for a multitude of reasons. The pair's memorable scene in Top Gun Maverick surely contributed to the film's 6 Oscar nominations, which include Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay, Music, Editing, Visual Effects, and Sound. Top Gun Maverick also dominated at the box office, earning over 700 million domestically en route to becoming one of the top 5 highest grossing movies in North American history. Following the movie's success, there are even talks between Cruise and co star Miles Teller about a possible Top Gun 3. And that's pretty much it. So it was the reunion between Iceman and Maverick that brought Tom Cruise to tears. And, you can definitely see why, the connection those two had in the first Top Gun back in 1986 and everything that Val Kilmer himself has been through. So that's completely understandable. And I do want to say good evening to Real Wade Gaming Clips. Sorry about that, Wade, for flubbing that. Good evening to you. And I also want to say good evening to Bone. I hope both of you are doing well this evening. So again, I completely understand why somebody would get emotional to being reunited with a former castmate on the set of a new movie, especially with what that former castmate is currently going through. So we are going to go ahead and move on to the next story. And again, for anybody who's just coming in, Baron and the long suffering Mrs. Tag are currently out together, spending some quality husband and wife time together, and Cash Money is currently under the weather. So that is why they're sorry, doing it again. Sorry. But that is why they are not here this evening. So once again, I am flying solo. And let's see, what should be our next article? Let's go ahead and get into one of the other main stories that I have. And let's talk about Rings of Power and how Amazon is reacting to Warner Brothers' announcement that they're going to make new Lord of the Rings movies. All right, there's the link to the article. Let me get the article on screen here. So, as soon as I get it on screen, I will start reading the article. And if you have any comments on any of these articles, please leave your comments into the chat. And please be respectful of everyone's opinion. We all have different opinions, and I would like everybody to respect the individual opinions, even if we don't agree. So, this article from comicbook.com says Reigns of Power, Amazon Studios head, reacts to new Lord of the Rings movies. This was posted on their website on the 28th of February. It's by Jamie Lovett. It says there are new Lord of the Rings movies on the way, and that's big news for more than just Warner Brothers Pictures. It's been almost a decade since the studio's last Middle Earth movie, The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies, opened in theaters. In the meantime, Amazon picked up the rights for Middle Earth's streaming television series. That series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, debuted in 2022, taking viewers to the second age of Middle Earth. Amazon Studios is already shooting its second season, but with new right holder Embrace Group. Thought it was Embracer Group, but I could be wrong. Also teasing multiple The Lord of the Rings video games in the works. There are suddenly more ways to visit Middle Earth than fans may have expected. Amazon Studios head Jennifer Saki remains committed to the Rings of Power despite all this, noting the large investment that the studio has already put into the series. And there's a quote here where she says, "We'll see." In response to a question about whether we may be approaching too much Lord of the Rings for the market. We love our original series. We're extremely proud of it and invested long term. So we definitely think there's enough fan love to sustain ours for a long time. And of course, the question everybody has is what are the new Lord of the Rings movies going to be about? I'm sure we're going to find out as the months and year goes by. It says producers Mike DeLuca and Pamela Adby are in charge of overseeing the new Rings of Lord of the Rings movies. I was about to say Rings of Power movies, so call that a blooper. Both have plenty of experience in the business, though this is their first big franchise. In a statement released when the new films were announced, the two producers seem confident there's plenty of Middle Earth to explore for all the scope and detail leveling packed into the two trilogies, the vast, complex, and dazzling universe dreamed up by J.R.R. Tolkien remains largely unexplored, they said. And it asks, is Peter Jackson involved with the new Lord of the Rings movies? Peter Jackson helmed the Oscar winning The Lord of the Rings trilogy. While he's not officially involved with the films in any direct way, he and co writers Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens did comment on the news, noting they were already apprised of the developments. Warner Brothers and Embracer have kept us in the loop every step of the way, they said in a joint statement. We look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. And the next question it asks, when does the next Lord of the Rings movie release? There's no date yet for the Lord of the Rings live action movie. The animated feature, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Will release in theaters on April 12th, 2024. So there's that. So apparently, Amazon is not too worried about these new Lord of the Rings movies because they feel that there's enough for everybody. And honestly, there is, but will fans continue to support the series that's on Amazon, or will they look forward to the new animated feature that's coming out next year? Or will they hold off until these new live action adaptations of The Lord of the Rings hit the movie theaters? We'll have to find out. As far as I'm concerned, the way I look at it, you have the six live action Lord of the Rings movies. And at this point, I don't see a reason to venture into any more movies, but that's just my opinion. And of course, this is coming from a guy who, when the first Lord of the Rings movie came out into theaters, said, "Why does anybody want to see this?" And then back in 2021, I actually sat down and watched all of them. The Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and Return of the King, and then of course the three Hobbit movies. And I don't know. It's one of those that for me, it's more of a wait and see type of thing. I know for certain that I'm not gonna give the Reigns of Power another chance for season two. After watching the first three episodes of season one, I was done because unlike the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the TV series just didn't grab me. And I do want to say hello to the Joker's voice, who says new Lord of the Rings movies, new Harry Potter content, James Gunn's DCU. This gives the rumor that Zaslav is looking to build these IPs back up in order to sell them off piece by piece or the whole WB catalog. Yeah, that rumor has been going around for quite some time, even when David Zaslav's transaction of Warner Brothers was official. A lot of people were speculating that Warner Brothers is just going to be sold off yet again. And there's even an article that I talked about a few months back on Pop Talk that said maybe Comcast would get involved, but who knows? Who knows? It's all rumor and speculation. And here on Pop Talk, I give my opinion from someone who isn't in Hollywood, who just tries to look at all the different pieces that are coming out and try to fit them all together. Sometimes, puzzle pieces, if they're not put in the right spot, they just won't fit. And again, we're just going to have to wait and see. So that's it for that article. And as I move on to the next one, I also see, yep, it does. It does give the rumor a lot more credit. I mean, you know, when it comes to, Harry Potter and of course Lord of the Rings, those have been arguably the biggest successes that Warner Brothers has had in the last 20 years, if you want to go that far. And with the success of Hogwarts Legacy, which I will continue, you know, it gives credence to the fact that they're going to want to capitalize on any success they can get in order to build up the company to make it appeasing to a potential buyer. And Bone says he'll be right back. All right, Bone. Thank you for being here. Let's see. The Joker voice says the only companies with deep enough pockets would be Apple or Amazon. If IPs are being sold off piece by piece, Harry Potter possibly being bought by Universal. Well, that would make sense if it was bought by Universal, considering they have the attraction, the Harry Potter attraction at both Universal Studios Hollywood. You have it in Orlando. I can't say for certain if it's in Japan. It might be, but that would make a lot of sense. All right, so let me go ahead and move on to this next article. And you have to excuse me for the coughing and my voice. The pollen has arrived in the area. Happens every year, and sometimes it's all right, and then other times not so all right. So the next article we are moving on to is also from comicbook.com, and it's talking about a recent movie, but with twist. Now, I am going to ask those of you who might be listening, might be lurking, or you're currently in the chat. Have you seen or do you have any desire to go see Cocaine Bear? I went and saw it Sunday. I went in with low expectations, and I'm glad I went in with low expectations because if I went in with high expectations, I would have been disappointed. But because I went in with low expectations for the movie, I was able to enjoy the movie for what it was. You'll get your laughs, you'll have a good time, and You'll forget about what's going on in the real world for almost 2 hours, and that's what movies are supposed to be about: escapism. Well, I have this article from comicbook.com, and it's written by Patrick Kavanaugh, and this article was posted on the 28th, so yesterday. It says Ripley's is attempting to buy the real cocaine bear. Yep, I agree with that. I didn't really give it a high rating myself, and I gave it a 6 out of 10. And it wasn't something that, after seeing it, I felt I need to go see this again. I'm glad I saw it, and I don't have to go see it again. I enjoyed it for what it was. Now, if you were to ask me, of the two movies I've seen this year, which one did I enjoy a little more? And those two movies, of course, being Megan and now Cocaine Bear, I gotta say I enjoyed Megan more than I enjoyed Cocaine Bear. But those are two completely different style movies. One's supposed to be straight up horror, while the other's sorry, while the other's supposed to be a horror comedy. And let's see. Well, thank you for stopping by, Joker Voice. I really appreciate it. All right. I will, brother. I will definitely keep it up, and I will definitely watch your review of The Mandalorian. I really don't have any intention on watching season 3 of Mandalorian, as I currently don't have or want to renew my Disney Plus subscription. And Joker Voice also adds Megan way better. Yeah, yeah, it was. Cocaine Bear is one of those movies you just have to go in with low expectations. Otherwise, if you go in with high expectations, you'll be disappointed, in my opinion. So, we have this article that was posted yesterday. It's by Patrick Kavanaugh that says Ripley's is attempting to buy the real Cocaine Bear. And let me just make sure I posted the link into the chat, and I did. It says, based on the name alone, the new film Cocaine Bear has become a major force in pop culture ever since audiences caught their first glimpse of the adventure, with some fans not even knowing that the movie was inspired by true events. This means the true story is a perfect fit for Ripley's Believe It or Not, which is why the organization is attempting to purchase the actual bear from the shocking and tragic story, with Pablo Escobar currently on display at the Kentucky Fun for Fun Mall. Ripley's initially made their offer on social media, with Fun for Fun currently hashing out the details on the deal. Cocaine Bear is in theaters now. Goes on to say, per press release, thanks to a video asking Kentucky for Kentucky, a state devoted souvenir shop in Lexington, to name their price, Ripley's, believe it or not, is now in negotiations to purchase Cocaine Bear, the taxidermied bear that inspired Elizabeth Banks' latest film, based on a 175-pound black bear who consumed 75 pounds of the drug. And there's the bear in question, taxidermy and all. It goes on to say, responding on Instagram, Kentucky for Kentucky commented, "Oh, it's so on. Bring on the Brinks trunk." I can't even speak. Bring on the Brinks trunk, baby. But Ripley's has some competition. Since the film's recent buzz, Kentucky for Kentucky has received multiple offers ranging from $10,000 to $300,000. With over 5 million followers across social platforms, Ripley's reached an audience of 250,000 on Facebook and Instagram, polling them on whether the company should, try to acquire Cocaine Bear or not. A strong 77.5% of followers agreed Cocaine Bear is Ripley worthy. Ripley's fans across social media, sorry, have tried to put a price tag on the trending taxidermy, from priceless to estimating the current street value of the drugs ingested. With that input, Ripley's has decided to offer an undisclosed amount. Ripley's also touts that if added to its collection of oddities and historical artifacts, Cocaine Bear would be among some of history's most curious hibernators, like a black bear found with a tire around its waist, currently on display at Ripley's Believe It or Not. Gattenberg, a grizzly trained in the Russian circus to ride a bicycle. Kodiak, who came face to face with a porcupine from Ripley's Believe It or Not, Amsterdam, and prehistoric cave bear skeletons. Goes on to say, Cocaine Bear has gone on quite the journey since he was discovered in 1985, from storage facilities to pawn shops, even by way of country star Wayne Jennings finally landing at the Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall in 2015, where they have worked hard to preserve the story of Cocaine Bear and warn visitors on the dangers of drug abuse. Ripley's offer is now in the hands of Kentucky for Kentucky. And let's go ahead and take a look at, excuse me. Again, it's the pollen, it's the allergies. I do apologize. But let's go ahead and take a look at the current box office numbers for Cocaine Bear and see where it's at. And then I will acknowledge more of you in the chat. Let me go ahead and remove that and switch the screen. All right. Let's see. There it is, right there. Here it is, right here. I'll go ahead and put the link to Box Office Mojo into the chat. So there we are. So currently, the latest from this weekend was that Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania made 32 million. Meanwhile, Cocaine Bear made 23.3 million. And from information I was able to look up prior to the show, it had an estimated budget of 30 million. And then, of course, you have the Jesus Revolution, and that made 15.9 million. Meanwhile, Avatar: Way of Water made 4.9 million, but that movie's been making a lot of money, especially uh, internationally. And then you had Puss in Boots: Last Wish, which made 4.1 million. Now, as far as what Cocaine Bear is up to at the moment, now granted they only have Monday's totals in there, but at the moment domestically, it's made 27,230,135. And international, it's made 5,281,000, and it has a worldwide total right now of $32,511,135. So if you add that total together, it's already made its budget back. And it will definitely make its budget back probably by this weekend, if not by the end of the week, here domestically at least. Meanwhile, you have Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, which I really have no desire to see. I don't even have any desire to see the next Shazam movie that's coming out, and more than likely won't go to see The Flash. But currently, Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania has made 171,337,413 domestically. Meanwhile, its international total is $196,154,352 for a worldwide total of $367,491,765. Now, for anyone who might be wondering, what about Avatar? Well, Avatar has made 666 million. That's the devil's number. 325,816 dollars here domestically. And there you see, as I was talking about, its international gross. That's where it's made the majority of its money. 1,602,000. Sorry, 1,602,062,800 187. Yeah, I know I screwed that up. For a worldwide total of 2,200,2 billion. There I go again. 2,268,388,003 dollars. So yeah, but again, just like with the first Avatar movie, it made most of its money back from sales overseas. So that's what it is. And we do have a Phil McCracken sighting. No, Phil, it's the pine pollen. It's back. It's that time of year. I'm sure you get it up in Delaware too. And what else does he have to say? I am Saint Mike. No, never said I'm a saint, but I have said you're a devil. And let's see, what's this one? Caddyshack 2 watch party, anyone? Phil, Phil. You know the response to that.
How about no?
That is the response. No Caddyshack 2 watch party. No. Yeah, I did say it was the devil's number. I mean, you look at that total that was on screen just a few moments ago. That's the devil's number, man. Yep. I did say it, Phil. You can put it back to the moment and you'll definitely see it. And I know the show's different tonight without any co-hosts, but you know, it's been a while since I've done a show by myself, and then you know, with Baron and the long suffering, spending some quality time together. They got to do it. They got to do it. It's something that you know they got to do, and what they're doing. I'm just going to go ahead and say it is they were going to church, and Baron let me know, and it's like, dude, you don't have to say sorry to me that you're not going to be here. Go to church, spend time with your wife. I mean, that's more important than doing a live stream. And then with Cash not feeling well, I even told him last night. I said, I don't want you showing up on Pop Talk. I want you to get rest. You need to get your rest, man. So, it goes back to what I said on the December 18th edition of Pop Talk, and I'll go ahead and pull that up real quick. At least put the link to it in there. I said there are going to be editions of Pop Talk this year that I have to do by myself because I have no co-host for the evening, or I'm not able to get a co-host for that evening, or something comes up where maybe I had to do the show by myself because of time. So that's just how it is. And like I said, Baron and the missus deserve to spend time together. And, church is very important. So, go to church and you know spend quality time because that's one thing that people seem to forget is there are more important things than doing a live stream. And there's the link to the December 18th edition of Pop Talk in case anyone wants to go back and Say, did Mike actually say this? I do want to say hello to Gap After Dark. And Gap is saying, do you notice he never invites us, Phil? Well, here's another thing. And go ahead, say it sounds like an excuse, sounds like a cop out. But I didn't want to send out an invitation to anybody at the last minute. I just didn't want to do that to anybody. It's like then you're forced to make a decision. It's like, well, I'd love to help you out, Mike, but you got to give me more notice next time. And that's what I want to do. When I ask somebody to be on the show, I want to give them enough notice. I don't want to give them the day of notice. I would, want to go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or maybe even a month out. And Gab says, "Oh, hello." And let's see. Why is he so mean to us, Gap? Why? I'm not being mean. I'm glad to see you guys here tonight. And Phil's crying, but remember, Phil has no soul. Phil has no soul. And Gap says, I know, he's so mean. Yeah, yeah. It's a fake video in December. Okay. All right. Keep telling yourself that. It's a cop out. It's an excuse. And Gaff has cried. Phil's cried. But again, Phil has no soul. And Gaff has cried some more. Well, I maybe I should say this because you two were part of that mutiny the other night or the other morning, I should say. So yeah, my response to that.
Extinction to all traitors!
Yeah, my response to that. Saint Phil. Yeah, okay. Keep telling yourself that, Phil. Keep telling yourself that. We all know the truth. Everybody who's watched any edition of Pop Talk knows the truth, especially the ones you've been on. They know the truth. All right, so moving on to this next story here. We've got a story that Cash did find from Bounty into Comics, and I'm going to go ahead and read it here. And it says Pedro Pascal, who believes men can become women, says he's creeped out when fans ask him to do the Mandalorian voice for children. This is by John F. Trent. It was posted Monday, February 27th, onto the Bounding into Comics website. It says the Mandalorian actor Pedro Pascal recently claimed he finds it creepy when parents ask him to do the voice of Din Djarin for their children. It goes on to say during an appearance on Britain's The Graham Norton Show via Huffington Post, Pascal explained how he finds parents asking him to do the voice for their children inappropriate. He told Norton, people come up to me and ask me to do the voice from The Mandalorian for their kids, but I think it sounds inappropriate because it's a breathy, low register bedroom voice. Pascal added, it's so creepy and doesn't work in real life. While Pascal thinks parents asking him to provide a voice for a popular character he plays within the Star Wars universe is so creepy, the actor has no problem with pushing actual creepy transgender ideology and the lie that men can become women and women can become men. In March 2020, he tweeted trans rights forever and always. He has since deleted his Twitter account. And it also goes just on to say back in 2021, when his brother decided to claim to be a woman, Pascal wrote on Instagram, and I can't really read Spanish. Sorry, so I won't even attempt it. And it goes on to say, as reported by Pink News, Pascal's brother, who now claims to be a woman and is Masquerading as his sister revealed Pedro was one of the first people to give me the tools that started shaping my identity. Also goes on to say Pascal has also reinforced false gender ideology in his The Last of Us co-star Bella Ramsey. Ramsey told GQ UK that Pascal was super supportive of her decision to claim she was non-binary, physical impossibility. According to GQ UK's Jack King, the two of them had many conversations around gender and sexuality. To that end, Ramsey detailed, and they weren't always deep. They could be funny and humorous, the whole spectrum. We were just very honest and open with each other. Goes on to say, to be clear, what Pascal is doing is not only endangering himself, but also his brother, Bella Ramsey, and the millions of people buying into the lie he is pushing. Bishop Michael Burbidge of the Catholic Diocese of Arlington explained, at its core, this belief in transgender identity rejects the significance of the sexed body and seeks cultural, medical, and legal validation of the person's self defined identity, an approach called gender affirmation. Goes on to say, he further adds the claim to be transgender or the desire to seek transition rest on a mistaken view of the human person, rejects the body as the gift from God, and leads to grave harm. To affirm someone in an identity at odds with biological sex or to affirm a person's desired transition is to mislead that person. It involves speaking and interacting with that person in an untruthful manner. Although the law of sorry, it's the allergies. Although the law of gradualness might prompt us to discern the best time to communicate the fullness of the truth, in no circumstances can we confirm a person in error, Bishop Burbidge declares. The idea that Pascal can lecture anyone on morality when he is pushing one of the biggest and most dangerous lies spreading throughout the United States and the Western world is laughable. He has no feet to stand on. And it also goes on to say, and his claim that parents wanted him to provide the voice is creepy, shows more about his character than these parents who just want him to spread joy to their children and hear the voice of a character they enjoy from Star Wars. Well, you know what? I'm gonna greet those who just came into the chat first. And Gappa saying noob, Wazy mode player. Wazy mode? What's Wazy mode? I have heard of easy mode. I haven't heard of Wazy mode. And Nova Vaughn, that's his reaction. Hello, Nova Vaughn. Whoopa Troopa, good to see you, brother. Gap is saying hello to Nova and Whoopa. Nova Vaughn says, so what does Wikipedia describe Dinjarin? Who knows? Who knows? I'm not even going to be watching the third season of Mandalorian because, as I said before, I don't have a Disney Plus subscription, nor do I want to renew the subscription I did have at one time. And Nova's saying hello to Gap. And let's see. Woopa is saying hello to Gap as well. And that's it. And you know what? Here's my thought on this. Pedro Pascal, just like the rest of Hollywood, they live in that bubble and you can't convince them otherwise. They believe that they're right and that they can say whatever they want. And in the world, everybody who thinks like them is also right. Now, in the real world, like here, we're all going to sit back and, we're going to have our opinions. I have my opinion. You can't go around talking about certain things, especially if you're not in the medical field. You can't start giving medical advice to somebody. Well, you shouldn't try to tell somebody that they're no good. You shouldn't try to tell somebody that they're the best because guess what? Reality is going to hit one day, just like it's going to hit with what's going on in this article that things aren't exactly as they appear. And this is just my own belief that one of these days they're going to wake up and find out that they can't go back and change what they've already changed because it's too late. Hollywood is stuck in their ideals and they're not willing to change. We've seen that. We've seen that Hollywood will push an agenda or know push a message for quite some time now. And this is just another example of the Hollywood elite thinking that they can preach to anyone and everyone and tell them, "Oh, you shouldn't ask me this question, but I will tell you this." No, no, you don't give somebody, especially somebody who's still growing up, unsolicited advice or bad advice in general. You just shouldn't. And that's what he's doing. He's giving bad advice. He really is. Because I'm sure any of us out there can say that we've done something in the past and we look back on it and say, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or I wish I had done that differently. And that's what so many people are going to, you know, find out years down the road that, maybe I shouldn't have done that thing, you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. But it's going to be too late. And honestly, you know, let Hollywood burn. Let it burn because you know Hollywood thinks that they're above everyone else, yet they don't live in the real world like the rest of us do. And I say, let it burn. And if someone wants to continue to support Hollywood, fine, let them. But I'm only going to support shows that are actually entertaining and not trying to push a message. Now, I say that knowing that there are 2 episodes of The Last of Us to go, and I will finish them up. But I have no desire to watch season 2 at this point, especially after seeing video from the games, live streams from the actual first game, and seeing that the game was so much better. It really was. It was so much better. Sorry. They handled everything so much better in the game. And in the game, there's heart. You actually care about the characters, where in the show, you're not given a reason to care about the characters, nor are you given a reason to care about the situation they're in, because they have omitted parts of the game where Joel and Ellie actually make that connection to where they do become a family, so to speak. But we do have another article in relation to The Last of Us. That's why I'm also mentioning The Last of Us. This is the last article I have for the evening. And let me go ahead and share it on screen. Now, if you guys feel different from me, go ahead and say it in the comments. I'm not going to bash you. I'm not going to time you out. I'm not going to block you. I'm wanting to see what you all have to say about it. And Gap says, I stopped watching The Last of Us after the third episode. And see, with that third episode, it didn't bother me about the relationship between Bill and Frank. What bothered me, especially after seeing what actually happened in the game, is the fact that they didn't have Ellie meet Bill like she did in the game. The series in general is a series where you can take things that you see, especially in the first game, and they should easily translate to live action because, like I said in my review that I did Monday, you're not required to look at a 10-foot CGI monster. You're just not. And Nova Vaughn says, never saw Last of Us, no plans to do so. And that's perfectly all right. And speaking of The Last of Us, go ahead and put this article into the chat so you all can read it if you want to read it. If you don't, the articles are in the description below. And one final thought on Pedro Pascal and his views. I understand that people, especially when they get to a certain age, are entitled to do what they want to their bodies if they want to. But there are just certain things you can't go back to. Once they're done, they're done. And that's all I have to say about that. I know that sounded like Forrest Gump at the end, but it's true. That is all I have to say about that. And we have this article again from Bounty in the Comics by John F. Trent. It was posted on Monday. It says The Last of Us director admits to tricking audiences to push gay storylines and propaganda. So the article says The Last of Us director Peter Hoare. Yeah, I know. I can hear the jokes now. So I might as well just play a drum roll just because of his last name. So that's what I'm going to do. But the director recently admitted to tricking audiences in order to push gay propaganda. Let's get into more detail and see what Bounty in the Comics has to say about it. It says in an interview with Inverse regarding the third episode of the series, Hoare was asked how he approached directing actors Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett throughout the episode. As part of his answer, Hoare stated sometimes you have to sort of trick the rest of the world into watching these things before they're like, oh my God, it was two guys. I just realized. And I think they might understand that it's all real. It's just the same love. It goes on to say, it is not the same love. What the show and horror are trying to depict as love is anything but. What they're depicting is the sin of lust and sodomy. To okay, and then it says to elucidate this point. It goes on to say, elucidate this point further. Pope John Paul II and the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith published considerations regarding proposals to give legal recognitions to unions between homosexual persons. Goes on to say the letter states the church's teachings on marriage and on the complementary of the sexes reiterates Truth that is evident to right reason and recognized as such by all the major cultures of the world. Marriage is not just any relationship between human beings. It was established by the creator with its own nature, essential properties and purpose. No ideology can erase from the human spirit the certainty that marriage exists solely between a man and a woman, who, by mutual personal gift, proper and exclusive to themselves, tend toward the communion of their persons. In this way, they mutually perfect each other in order to cooperate with God in the procreation and upbringing of new human lives. After providing ample evidence to this point, the letter says there are absolutely no grounds for considering homosexual unions to be in any way similar or even remotely sorry, it's the allergies. Remotely analogous to God's plan for marriage and family. Marriage is holy, while homosexual acts go against the natural moral law. Homosexual acts close the sexual acts to the gift of life. They do not proceed from a genuine, effective, and sexual complementary. Under no circumstances can they be approved. In conclusion, the letter declares the common good requires that laws recognize, promote, and protect marriage as the basis of the family, the primary unit of society. Legal recognition of homosexual unions or placing them on the same level as marriage would mean not only the approval of deviant behavior with the consequence of making it a model in present day society, but would also obscure basic values which belong to common inheritance of humanity. Goes on to say, despite the obvious truth, actress Bella Ramsey revealed the show would continue to push sin as normal behavior. I know people will think what they want to think, but they're gonna have to get used to it. If you don't want to watch the show because it has gay storylines, because it has a trans character, that's on you and you're missing out. It isn't going to make me afraid. I think that comes from a place of defiance, she added. Let's see, it also goes on to say her fellow actress, Storm Reed, who also recently told Variety, I think Bella put it perfectly a couple of weeks ago. If you don't like it, don't watch. There are so many other things to worry about in the world. I think being concerned about who people love is absurd to me. I just don't. I will never understand it. I don't get it, she added. Clearly, Horde knows that it is natural to reject homosexuality because it is indeed unnatural and goes against the natural moral law. It's why he honestly stated he needed to trick the audience into trying to accept something and sin as something true and just when it simply is not. To paraphrase another writer, if something is natural and pure, one would not need to trick someone in order to make them believe it. What's more likely the case is Horace trying to justify his own sinfulness, but at the same time wants to also spread it to others. And honestly, what do I think? It's another example of Hollywood basically saying this is what you're going to believe. This is what you're going to accept. We don't care about your beliefs. You're going to change your beliefs. You're going to change your beliefs to fit our narrative. Instead of letting the audience member decide for themselves, they're going to decide for you. And Hollywood is wondering why people aren't tuning in to watch a lot of their new TV shows or a lot of their new movies by going to the movie theaters, why comics are failing right now, why so many other things are failing right now. Yet, you have something like Hogwarts Legacy. That is a good game, and people are going after it, saying you're against this community if you buy the game, not even giving the game a chance. And I don't even care that the bartender in the game that gives you the butterbeer is a trans character. What I care about is the gameplay. That's what I care about, and the overall story. I don't care about the side stories. I care about the main story. And the game's a good game. And if you're not playing it, you are missing out. Bella Ramsey says, if you don't watch our show, you're missing out. Well, guess what? If you don't play Hogwarts Legacy, you're missing out. I'm not saying that there's nothing out there good to watch, because there is. You can find good things to watch. Yeah, you got to hunt for it, but you got to be able to think for yourself too. And let's see. Gap says, well, they didn't trick us, the audience. Isn't that stupid? And that's the thing, Gap. They think we're stupid. They think we're mindless. They think that we can't think for ourselves. We can't. Critical thinking. Critical thinking is something they don't want. They don't want somebody to step back and go, wait a minute. They don't want someone to have the light come on and go, hold on a second. Something's not right. And then try to connect the dots, add up the numbers, put the puzzle pieces together in the right order. They don't want us to think for ourselves, but that's what we have to do. We have to think for ourselves. And go. I know someone's gonna say, "Oh, you're just, you know, an Otzi. You're this. You're that." And the other, no, I'm someone who, as I've stated before, has grown up with a physical disability, who has had to fight my way and prove myself when I shouldn't have to prove myself. I shouldn't have to prove myself to someone who thinks they're better than me. No, go out there and do it. I've had people say, "Oh, he can't do this," and guess what? I can do it. I've had people, when I've loaded things at a job before, saying, "Oh, he can't pull that pallet of freight," and what do? I end up pulling that pallet of freight. It's because people are ignorant, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but there are people out there who are ignorant. They see somebody and they just want to go ahead and pass judgment. They don't want that person to think for themselves, and they don't like it when that person can't think for themselves and speaks up for themselves. And I do want to say hello to Jet Sparks, who says, hold up, wait a minute. That's right, Jet. Tonight, Baron is out with the missus and Cash is under the weather, so I am doing the show solo. And Gap is saying, Jet. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Think for yourself. If something doesn't seem right, more than likely it probably isn't right. If you're walking along the street and you see someone who needs help, help that person. Don't just walk by them and let whatever's happened to them be the end. Too many people nowadays are just hooked to their cell phones. They see somebody who's in need of assistance and they just walk by. They just ignore 'em. How many times do you go onto Twitter anymore and you see people, you know, who are fighting and you see other people just standing there with their cell phones and filming the whole thing? And don't tell me they're doing it so they can present evidence to the court. No, they're filming it so they can upload it to social media or YouTube or anywhere else and get views. Again, if you see something and it doesn't look right or doesn't smell right, it probably isn't. And Gaff says, yeah, they judge first. Now, instead of the old phrase, never judge a book by its cover, yeah, exactly. They do. They think we're brainless. And I'm sorry, I'm not just going to be somebody who's going to say, oh, I'm going to, consume that product. No, you all know I'm a passionate baseball fan, but there's one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to buy MLB.TV or any other baseball related streaming services here because it's gotten too damn expensive. And with all the changes going on in the game, it makes me not even want to watch the game because there's too many unnecessary changes going on in the game of baseball that aren't needed. But it's to try to appeal to the casual fan. Listen, if the casual fan still doesn't give a crap about the game now, they never will. And even if they do give a crap about the game, guess what? It's only going to be when their home team is in first place. The moment their home team is knocked out of the playoffs, it's on to the next best thing. That's how it is. Doesn't matter if it's sports, doesn't matter if it's entertainment. Once that one popular thing is over, it's on to the next popular thing, then to the next, then to the next. Because you're not going to retain the attention and retention of a casual fan. If they weren't passionate about it before, they won't be passionate about it after. Yes, there might be a small majority who say, you know what? I like this, and go back and watch what came before. Say somebody, and this don't I don't know if this happened. It may have happened, but say somebody their first experience with Star Wars was with the Disney trilogy. Then maybe they went back and watched the original 6 movies. And maybe for some of those people, they're able to understand why fans of the 3 prequel films or the 3 original films are so upset by the turnout of the Disney trilogy. And for others, they won't see it. They won't see it at all. And Jet Sparks is saying they film for clout. Exactly. Exactly. They want the views, they want the subs, they want the followers. Well, Whoopa, it may be silly, but it certainly looks like that's what Rob Manfred is doing. It certainly looks like that's what he's doing. He's asking the casual fan. I mean, heck, Theo Epstein's there. Everybody that's part of this baseball rules committee is doing it. They're wanting the opinion of the casual fan instead of the diehard fan like you, me, and anyone else who might be listening right now, watching right now, and might actually go to the game because we actually know what's going on in the game. We enjoy the game for what it is. So, what if the game takes 3.5 hours, 4 hours? Not everything these days has to be fast, but there's one thing that we live in, and I know I'm not wrong in this. We live in a fast food society. We want it now. We want it fast and we want it now. We don't want to have to wait. We want everything to go fast. We want shorter games. Yes, there's been talk of making 3 hour games. 3 hour games, come on. I mean, sports, yeah, we want our sports fast. Yeah. So what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna put in a pitch clock, and pitchers have 15 seconds to pitch to the batter, who has 8 seconds to get into the batter's box. And if there's somebody on base, guess what? Then the pitcher has 20 seconds to pitch the ball. So it it's gotten ridiculous. It has gotten absolutely ridiculous. I'm trying to keep myself from cursing too much here, but it's gotten absolutely ridiculous with what's gone on in sports, what's gone on in gaming, what's gone on in entertainment in general. Just leave it the way it's supposed to be. And the way baseball is supposed to be is a game of strategy. A game of strategy. What entertainment is supposed to be, same with video games, is escape from the real world. You play a game for 2 hours or even an hour or 45 minutes, however long you can play. You watch a show for 45 minutes to an hour, a movie for 2 hours or however long this movie is to escape. To escape. And then after it's all over, you get back into the real world and you do everything you need to do for your life in the real world. And Whoopa says the pitch clock has been so goofy in spring training and in college. I admit I was wrong on that. It's a terrible change. It is. It is. I mean, you know what else is a terrible change? When you have a broadcast and they're not even focused on the game. They're focused on talking about other crap that's not even related to the game. I don't tune into a baseball game on TV or on the radio to hear them say, "Yeah, I did 18 holes of golf today and it was amazing. And then I went out to this place for lunch before coming to the ballpark and I did this." Meanwhile, there's a game going on and they're not even focused on it. Yeah, I know I've turned this into the box score as well, but it's ridiculous. It's like, you watch a movie. I don't care if the character's gay, straight, short, tall. I don't care about the color of their skin either. What I care about is getting a good story. And part of getting a good story is having characters that you are interested in. Character goes through a journey from beginning to middle to end. They grow in that journey. And then they're put in a predicament where you're actually concerned about that character's outcome because you've gotten to know that character over the course of a TV series or in the short time of a movie. They've given you reason to care. And that's one thing they do not do anymore. They do not give you reason to care about any characters. Any. None whatsoever. Just like baseball doesn't give you a reason to care about the game because they're more concerned about speeding up the time and changing rules that don't need to be changed. Or keeping a rule that really should have only been there for one season, and I'm talking about the 2020 season. Whoopa, you're going to know exactly which one I'm talking about because teams need to earn their win. Just like these studios in Hollywood, these game publishers. You want us to buy your product? Give us a reason to buy your product. Give us a reason to support your product. Not because, oh, wait. Oh, what are we supporting this week? What are we supporting this day, this year, this month? Oh, that thing? Yeah. Support us. Watch this because of we're supporting this. No. Not because we're supporting the flavor of the week, the year, or the month. Give us a reason to care about these shows and games and movies because of the story and the characters involved in said story. Getting back to baseball, I go to a baseball game to see a competitive game. I go to a baseball game to see the manager in that dugout looking at his lineup card and thinking to himself, the base is loaded. Do I leave a pitcher in or do I take him out and go to the guy warming up in the bullpen? Hey, the other team's got a left handed batter coming up. Why don't I bring in my lefty and get this guy out? Because my lefty I have in there does good against this guy. No, Manfred doesn't care about that. You think any of these higher ups care about what we think? No, they don't. But that shouldn't stop us from voicing our opinion. We shouldn't go silent. We shouldn't bend the knee. I'm certainly not going to bend the knee. I may not be watching as many Cub games this year as I have in years past, but trust me, I'm going to know what they're doing each and every day, and I'm going to call them out when they screw up, just like I have in the past. And I'm going to let you guys know if I see a TV show and I don't particularly care for it. I'm going to tell you why I don't particularly care for it. I'm going to tell you why I don't particularly care for a movie or a game. It's like Gotham Knights. Yeah, I was able to complete that game, but that game had problems. I mean, even after a 40 gigabyte update, 40 gigabyte patch, that game still had problems. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And Whoopa says, the extra innings rule. Honestly, would have preferred if the MLB just said game's not done after the ninth, end in ties. Yeah. I would have been satisfied with that too. Football does it. Just name one particular sport that does it. If they can't win in overtime, then it ends in a tie. And Whoopa also says no need to change games. In every other sport, overtime is exciting. I don't know why baseball wants to have less of it. I don't know, but Commissioner Comover thinks that the game needs to be sped up. I mean, I don't just blame Manfred either. Bud Selig, his predecessor, did this. Just like, these studio heads. If you want to know what's going on, look at what their predecessor did and then look what they're doing. It's ridiculous, man. It is absolutely ridiculous. And I know some people aren't going to like this rant, but you know what? Too bad. Too bad. I want to get this off my chest. Because I am tired of being told you have to watch this, you have to support this. If you don't like this, you're this, that, and the other. No. You know what I am? I'm an individual who has his own thoughts and his own ideas on what makes a good story. And what we've been getting the past few years sucks. Absolutely sucks. And you know what? For anybody who might be wondering, why do you play retro games? You want to know why I play retro games a lot? Well, one simple answer. You get everything on the disc, everything on the cartridge, all in one game. You don't have to worry about a patch. You don't have to worry about DLC or anything like that. I for one, am tired of paying 60 $70 for a game, and that's not even the whole freaking game. It's not even the whole freaking game when you have more than one DLC to come along with it. It's absolutely positively ridiculous. absolutely ridiculous that you pay $60 and you're not even getting the whole game. And Jet Spark says, "You and me both, Pacific." Exactly. We're all just tired of it. We all just want good, compelling characters. I mean, when I have people on the panel, I don't care if you're gay, straight, blue, yellow, pink, purple, whatever. I don't care. What I care about is you come on here, you have fun, and you respect everyone's opinion. And even if you disagree, you still find a way to have fun. We all can make it fun. I, you do have some people out there who want to take away the fun. And when you say, have fun, live a little, they say,
How about no?
but when it comes to Pop Talk and when it comes to doing this channel in general, I just want to have fun. If you see me playing a game and I die, well, guess what? Chances are I'll continue playing until I can get past that part. Or if I, look at the time and go, ooh, I got to stop. Well, then I'll stop and I'll continue at another time. But what I want is to be entertained. What everyone else wants, well, only you can answer that. Only you know what you want when it comes to your entertainment, when it comes to your movies, games, books, TV shows, whatever it may be. Only you can answer that question. But I'm going to let you know that I just want to be entertained, but I want to be entertained by a story that actually captures my attention, draws me in with characters that I can actually care about and have a reason to care about, not just because they're standing there on screen. Oh, and guess what? We've got someone that represents this checkbox, that checkbox, and the other. No, I don't want that. And neither should you. But only you can answer what you want. I can't do it for you. So, on that note, folks, after this rant, I think it's time to go ahead and end this edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. I do want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by, and I greatly appreciate it. And thank you for listening to my rant. I appreciate that as well. And Gap After Dark says, Mike, we award you that I've died so many times award in gaming. That's right. That's right. And of course, something that everybody will probably be saying, especially after they watch a game stream that I do, is as I bring it up here it is.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Yep. But that's it. And, and I again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I do want to thank you, Gap, for being here. I also want to thank you, Whoopa, for being here. I also want to take the time to thank Jet Sparks for being here. Thank you, Jet. We also had Nova Vaughn here. Thank you, Nova. Appreciate it. We also had an appearance by Phil McCracken. We also had an appearance by, as I scroll up here, we also had an appearance by the Joker's voice, formerly known as just Joker voice. We also had an appearance by Bone. And we also had an appearance by Real Wade Gaming Clips. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here. Be sure to smash that like button before you go and share out the stream. And Don't thank you. You're just cleaning up the room. All right, Anonymous. I won't thank you, but thank you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. It's always nice to see you. Now, as far as the open panels are concerned, I don't know exactly when I'm going to do an open panel for this month. I might possibly do one for Sunday. That's what I'm thinking right now. I might possibly do an open panel for this Sunday. So if anybody wants to come on and talk any pop culture related topic, we can. And as far as the Wednesday one, I will definitely let you all know when that one's going to be. But for the first open panel of March, it'll probably be Sunday. Now, as far as what's coming up on the channel, I won't be streaming tomorrow, but I will be streaming at 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday, and that'll be Mega Man X. And for any of you familiar with Mega Man X, you know that's the first iteration of Mega Man for the Super Nintendo. So I will be playing that from the Mega Man Legacy Collection. And of course, Sunday's Pop Talk. And, one of these days, maybe it'll be Saturday, maybe it'll be later on Sunday. Although Sunday, I will be giving my review for episode 8 of The Last of Us. And if I don't do it live, I will definitely record it and then post it later. But I will also get back to playing Hogwarts Legacy at some time soon. So Anonymous is giving thumbs up. And no, Anonymous, I'm not playing the song. No, just not going to do it. Share out the stream. Thank you, Gap. But thank you all for being here. Hope you like what you heard. And until Friday.
This has been a test of the emergency hypnotoad system. Had this been an actual hypnosis, you would go limp and watch whatever crap comes on next.
Can I die in Mega Man? Go back and watch my live streams of Mega Man 9 and 10. You'll see that I can die in Mega Man. If there's a game where a character has lives, I can find a way to die in the most dumb way possible. So, yes, Gap, there is a way to die in Mega Man. Have a good night, everyone.